días. Ok, bueno, entonces les decía, vamos a revisar cómo registrarnos en Edmodo. Si ustedes ya tienen la cuenta, lo único que tienen que hacer es ingresar o darle clic aquí en unirse a un grupo. Si no, van a dar clic aquí en soy un estudiante para que puedan ingresar. Les decía hace rato, vamos a necesitar sus datos, como su nombre, apellido, el código del grupo que se los mandé por correo, el usuario, el correo opcional y la contraseña que ustedes elijan. Si ya están registrados, bueno, vamos a entrar al curso para que ustedes vean qué materiales ya son los que tienen que trabajar. Entonces vamos a dar clic aquí en entrar. Yo voy a entrar con mi cuenta de estudiante para que ustedes revisen cuáles son las actividades que tenemos que realizar. Entonces, ingresamos. Ajá, ya sé qué es lo que está mal. Y bueno, aquí están los datos. Aquí ustedes pueden modificar su perfil, pueden agregar una foto. Aquí aparece su nombre, el rol que están cumpliendo dentro del grupo. Y yo tengo registradas estas dos clases mismas que me van a ayudar para ejemplificar los trabajos que tienen que realizar. Pero si se dan cuenta, ayer estuve subiendo algunos materiales para que ustedes los puedan revisar. Y todos los materiales que subí tienen una actividad, es decir, cada una de estas practice activities tienen una tarea a realizar que van a realizar una vez que hayan visto, revisado el material que yo les estoy indicando. Algunas de estas practice activities tienen algún video, algún PDF, algún link, alguna página o alguna presentación PowerPoint que tienen que revisar antes de realizar esta actividad. Y cada practice activity se encuentra alojada aquí en los quiz o los quizzes, como quieran llamarle. Entonces aquí me aparecen las practice activities del módulo. Entonces, por ejemplo, aquí tengo la Practice Activity 1.1 o Practice Activity 1.1. It's about past simple. So after checking the material that I have in the description, I have to check a video about the past simple of verb to be. Then I have to check the presentation about past simple. I have to check the video about English language. I have to check an irregular verb list, and I have to answer the practice activity 1.1, and it is related to this material. I have the material here, so I have to check this material before answering the activity. If you check, if you consult the resources before doing the activity will be very simple to do. And these activities are like exercises, only exercises to practice the grammar. We're going to check a grammar point, and obviously we have to practice the grammar point, and we have to do an activity. At the end of these 5 activities, you will have to hand or send me 2 evidence of this work, and you will produce this evidence. It could be in a video, it could be in a voice recording activity, or it would be in a writing activity. It depends, but you have to produce the language. Now that you have checked the grammar, now that you have reviewed the material, you have to produce the language. And these quizzes or these assignments, if you want to see it like homework, this will be just for practice, but they will count as the final grade. So what do I have to do? It's very simple. If I have checked the activities or the resources, the only thing that I have to do is to click on the turn in activity in the turn in button. So it's very important to mention, guys, that once that you turn in the activity or once that you start this activity, you can't leave the activity. You only have one attempt to do this activity. You have a time limit to do the activity. So pay attention on that, because if you have a bad connection and for example, I don't know, but it has happened. If you have a bad connection and you can't complete the activity, you will lose this assignment. If you overpass the time limit, you will be affected by the grade. So take into consideration all these aspects, because this will count in the activity. And as I told you guys, you only have one opportunity to do this activity. So once that you start the activity, you can't quit the activity. You can't log out the activity. And I'm going to do it just as an example to you to check how do you have to send me the activity and how you have to finish the activity. Okay, so once that I have checked the material, I click on the practice activity button and I start the quiz. So I have, in this case, I have 3 activities, 3 questions. And each activity has their instructions. So for example, instructions: complete the conversation with was, wasn't, were, weren't. So for example, where were you last night? I found you, but you, obviously there's a negative answer, so wasn't at home. Pay attention, because you have to use the apostrophe. You don't have to use the I don't know how to say that, the stress symbol, como el símbolo de la acentuación. No es el acento, tienen que utilizar el apóstrofe. En mi máquina, por ejemplo, está en la tecla de el signo de interrogación, el que cierra el signo de interrogación. Entonces, por ejemplo, si yo mando esta respuesta con el acento y después con la T, me la va a marcar como errónea, porque la tecla o el símbolo que tengo que utilizar es el apóstrofe con la T. En mi máquina la tengo en la tecla de la question mark, la que cierra el signo de interrogación, y entonces así. Bueno, entonces yo mando mi activity y, por ejemplo, I was out with friends, we were at the Azteca Cafe. I'm not going to complete the activity because the purpose is that you have to complete the activity. So then you have simple past of regular verbs. So for example, John and I, and you have the verb into brackets. The only thing that you have to do is to use the verb into the past. And then you have irregular verbs. So I don't know, for example, I wrote that he was fired. That's an example, okay? So once that I finish my quiz, I have to click on the submit quiz button. Obviously, this is incomplete, so you have 3 unanswered questions. It will show you an alert that you have to complete the activity. But in this case, I'm going to omit the instruction, I'm going to omit the alert, and I'm going to submit the homework, okay? Or maybe if you have some questions, if you have some doubts, you need to click on the review button, okay? So I'm going to send the homework, and at the end, I have to check the results. it says, this quiz is finished. You completed 0 out of 3 questions. So I have to check the results, and I have the feedback. I have the correct answer for this activity. So that's how we're going to work. That's the way in which we're going to take this course. This is an online course, guys, so it is supposed that you have to be independent on your learning, so pay attention on that. But if you have any question about grammar, about vocabulary, if you have any question about the activities that you have to do, please send me a message. I'm going to be very glad to send you more material, extra resources, or maybe if you have to check, I don't know, if you have problems with the activities, I'm glad to help you to give an assessment about this. So don't worry about this. The work is very easy, I think. I think that the work is very simple. You have some activities scheduled for the next week. For example, in this case, you have the first 2 activities for Monday. Then you have 2 more activities for Tuesday. And the 5th activity is on Wednesday. Pay attention on this, because if you don't do the activities on time, obviously this will affect the grade. You have scheduled activities. We have some more activities apart from this. So I have to organize the course during the week, and I have to upload these activities during the week in order that you will have time to do them and to complete all these tasks. But it's important that you check the material, okay? Check the material, organize your time, and pay attention on the way that you are studying the language. I consider that studying a language is difficult. In this modality, I consider it's more difficult because you don't have the facilitator, the teacher with you in a physical form, and we have to communicate by emails or messages. But please, don't worry about that. You can send me any message whenever you need any help. Okay, so that's the way in which we're going to work with these assignments or these works. These 5 assignments are for the next week. If you have any question, please tell me. And today we're going to check some grammar related to the first week. We're going to check some grammar about the past simple. We're going to start working with some past simple regular verbs. And as you know, guys, regular verbs are the verbs that end with ed at the end when we use them into the past or the past participle form. Remember that we have 3 forms or 3 ways to use the verbs: into the base form, into the past simple form, and into the past participle form. So the regular verbs are the ones that end with ed. For example, paint, painted. And we have some spelling rules. For example, with most of the verbs, we only have to add ed. For example, work, worked. If the verb ends with e, the only thing that we have to do is to add d. If a verb ends in a vowel between 2 consonants like stop, we have a consonant, vowel, consonant. Always go to the end of the verb and start from there and check consonant, vowel, consonant. So if we have a short verb ending in a consonant, vowel, consonant, we have to double the last consonant and add ed. For example, stop, stopped. And if the verb ends in y, we have to change that y into ied. For example, cry, cried. Pay attention with time expressions used in the past. because these time expressions will help you to decide which tense to use. For example, in the past simple, we're going to use yesterday, last week, last month, last year, or we can also use a month ago, 3 days ago, a week ago, etc., etc. Okay, so here we have some examples. Marco Polo lived in Venice in the 13th century. He traveled to Asia in 1271. Remember that we are going to read the years 2 by 2. I mean, we're going to read these two first and then the second two. So 1271. That's only 4 years, okay? He stayed there for 17 years. He returned to Venice in 1295. He died in 1324. With questions. With questions and negatives, we have to use auxiliaries. Auxiliaries in past, well, in this case, the auxiliary into the past simple is did. Once that you use the auxiliary, you don't have to use the verb into the past. For example, in this case, did Marco Polo live in Venice? Live is in its base form. You don't have to use the verb into the past because you are using the auxiliary. This is a short answer question. It means that you will have or you will get just yes or no for an answer. So, did Marco Polo live in Venice? Yes, he did. And that's all. But we don't have more details. If you need more details, more information, use a WH word question, okay? Did he stay in Asia for 20 years? No, he didn't. And that's the structure for past simple form. So we have an exercise here only with regular verbs. So we have some examples. For example, the artist Van Gogh invent, not paint, die, start, or not discover. Obviously, is didn't paint, while puppies, Claude Monet did. Once that you use the auxiliary, remember, you don't have to use the verb into the past. Sometimes we commit the mistake to use the auxiliary and the verb into the past, and that's incorrect. Once that you use auxiliary, you only have to use the verb in its base form. So, Beethoven started composing music at an early age. The Spanish artist Diego Velázquez died in 1660. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. Isaac Newton did not discover radioactivity. Henry Becquerel did. That's a simple exercise with regular verbs. Then we have to use this to make questions. So, for example, Picasso painted the Mona Lisa, and we have, did Picasso paint the Mona Lisa? No, he didn't. Did Leonardo da Vinci sketch plants and animals? If that's true, yes, he did. Did Mozart invent an early flying machine? No, he didn't. Did your parents visit a museum yesterday? Yes, they did, or no, they didn't. Did you study history last Monday? Yes, I did. Look, how do we form questions? We use the auxiliary and we use the verb in its base form. And it doesn't matter who is the subject. The auxiliary is the same for all the subjects into the past simple tense. You don't have to change the auxiliary. The auxiliary is the same for all the subjects. So when we check the present simple, we check that we use two different auxiliaries. We use do for I, you, they, and we, and does for she, he, and it. But in that case, in this case, with past simple, the auxiliary is the same for all the subjects. Okay? So we have to check more information, but let me check. Now, the past simple with irregular verbs. Irregular verbs are the verbs that change completely into the past, or maybe they don't change at all, or maybe we have to change only one word with the past simple. So we have a large list of irregular verbs into the past. You have to check, you have to learn them. It's obvious that we have to learn them because we're going to use them, okay? But we're going to check just some of them, and we're going to check the structure for a past simple with regular verbs. In fact, we don't have to change anything with the past simple with regular and irregular verbs. The structure is the same, but we're going to check some examples. So I, you, he, she, etc. went to Italy. Went is the past simple of go. If we are using the negative form, use I, you, he, she, etc. didn't go to Egypt. With questions, again, once that you use the auxiliary into the negatives or questions, use the verb in its base form. Don't change the verb into the past form. It doesn't matter if we are using regular or irregular verbs, they are the same. The structure is the same. Once that you use the auxiliary, don't change the verb. So did you go to China? Yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And here we have some more examples with irregular verbs. Thomas Edison was a great inventor. Was is the past simple of the verb to be. His mother taught him at home because he did poorly at school. Taught is the past simple of teach, and did is the past simple of do. And pay attention with this. This is a good example because in that case, did is working as the main verb, and you are going to use it as the auxiliary of the structure. So it's the same. If you use did, you have to use the auxiliary did into the questions or negatives, okay? At the age of 12, he sold fruit, snacks, and newspapers on a train. At the age of 15, he became an inventor. In his spare time, he took things apart to see how they worked. We have took, that is an irregular verb, and work, that is a regular verb. He invented many devices such as the electric light bulb and the phonograph. So we have regular and irregular verbs. And here we have a list of regular and irregular verbs. So we're going to check which ones are regular and which ones are irregular. So lead, it's irregular because the past simple is let. Fight, it's irregular. Okay, we're going to do it faster. Fight is fought, is irregular. Explore, explored, that's regular. Do, did is regular. Win, won, it's regular. Start, started, it's regular. Discover, discovered, it's regular. Build, built, it's regular. Travel, traveled, it's regular. Set out is irregular. Die is died, it's irregular. Eat, ate, it's irregular. Bite, bit, it's irregular. Stabbed, stabbed is regular. Come, came, irregular. See, saw, irregular. Conquer, conquered, it's regular. And be is was or were, and it's irregular. Okay? So you have a list of verbs. You have into the resources a list of verbs. You have to check them. If you need any help with this topic, please send me a message. I will send you extra material. But here we have an exercise. For example, we have to complete the sentences or the paragraph using the past simple of these verbs. So we have some regular and irregular verbs. So Tutankhamun became pharaoh of Egypt at a very young age. He ruled for only 9 years because he died at the age of 18. The people buried him in the Valley of the Kings in southern Egypt. Over 3,000 years later, in 1922, an archaeologist, Henry Carter, found the forgotten tomb. It had a lot of treasures inside it, including a beautiful gold mask. After Carter opened Tooth's tomb, one of his men got sick and died. A cobra ate Carter's pet bird, and other strange things happened. Some people believe this is because of a terrible Asian curse. Okay, so we have some examples like this on the page on Edmodo. At the end of this week, after you check the material, the resources, you will be able to produce some structures or some products with the past simple tense. During the week, I'm going to publish and upload some task, a specific task for this unit. And this is how we're going to work. I know that you have your master degree today, and that's why you can't be with me today, or you couldn't be with me today. But we're going to check that. If it is possible, we're going to check the day of the session in order to check some questions and maybe to check some issues about the course. But I consider that it is really important that you check the material in order to do the activities. And it is important to check all the emails that I'm going to send you, because you will find some information, some very useful information. For example, in this case, you will find how to check the material, how to answer the quizzes. And please, in this kind of modality, or in this kind of learning modality, it is important to be in contact with your facilitator. In this case, I'm going to be the facilitator for English. So please send me messages, tell me if you have seen the session. Let me know that you have checked the resources. Let me know that you have checked the session, because it's important. It's important to be in contact. And it is also important to remind you guys that in this case, in this kind of learning, you have to be more independent. I mean, instead of waiting the material from the teacher, if you have any question, you need to look independently for this information on the net. So I think that this is the most important information for this week. If you have any question, if you have any comment, please let me know. Send me a message. I'm going to be in contact with you. You have some homework for this week. I hope that this session will be useful for you. If you have any question, please let me know. And during the week, I'm going to check my schedule in order to change the days for these sessions. I hope that it will be okay for you, or it will be better in this case for you. Instead of having the sessions on Saturday, I hope that we can find, I don't know, a day during the week. It's really complicated because I have a full schedule, but I'm going to try to do it. Okay, so that's all for today. If you have any question, please let me know. I think that that's all for today. I wish you a great weekend. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy the weekend, and we're going to start working the next week with the activities. Okay, thank you, and thank you for your attention.